I think this topic is super interesting, especially for people on this platform who have this deep desire for development and growth and change. It can get really frustrating when you're not seeing the results. And I think a lot of that comes through how you're consuming and how you learn best. So, what is it that you want to learn? And I have found that when I try to force learning on a topic, when I really try to kind of like cram and understand something that I don't fully feel invested in or feel excited about, I really struggle to retain the information. I have a really hard time staying engaged. And so the first thing that I think is really important is getting really honest about what is it that you want to learn, but beyond the what, the why. How can you tether what it is that you're learning about to a deeper why? How can you anchor it? I was thinking a lot about what I've learned this year. And a lot of what I've been learning about has been in the health world. And I went to school for business. A lot of people in my family are in the health world. But this year I've been on this just massive health journey. And I find myself learning so much about health. And I realized that in years past, this information would not have stuck with me. But this year, my why around my health has been so deep that like I am like reading medical journals and listening to really nerdy podcasts. And so I think that a lot of times we're so focused on the what we want to learn, but what we need to connect it to is a really strong why. And for me, my word of the year this year was vibrant. I wanted to show up vibrant and energetic. I wanted my energy to be felt. Like when I enter a room, I just want people to say like, whoa, I can feel that. And so how can we anchor what it is that you're learning to something that feels super compelling and exciting, even if the information itself doesn't feel that way for you? And so anchoring your learning can be a huge way that you can learn faster. And it can also just be a way that you feel more convicted to learn. Another example that I was thinking about, and it does pertain to health, is when we went through our fertility journey. Again, I was finding myself in forums and asking questions and showing up in doctors' offices. And I wasn't an expert in this topic, but I slowly started to almost become one because my why of starting a family was so deep. And so again, how can you tie what you're learning and anchor it with something that truly matters to you? Because that is going to help you stick to the learning when it gets tough, but it's also going to help you connect those dots that are so critical in retaining that information. One thing that I always think about is when I start with the what and then figure out the why, I need to write that down. For me, having these reminders in my life is super, super powerful. And it helps me to stick to things when in the past I might not have been able to. And so for my health journey, for example, I had to get super specific and actionable on why do I want to feel vibrant and what does vibrant look like? It looks like having enough energy to run my business and then run after my children. What does it feel like? What does it look like? And so if you can get super specific about what you're learning and get really actionable in what that application can look like, it is going to help you immensely. And the second piece is how. Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why, but the how. How do you best consume, learn, and retain information? Now, I'm going to give you an example that I've been thinking a lot about. So my daughter Coco is going to turn 4 next month, a month from today, and she is in a Montessori school, and I absolutely love it. Now, I did not read a lot of parenting books. I still don't, but there was one book that I read when I was pregnant with Coco, and it was called Bringing Up Bébé. And it was like this French method of raising children. And I don't know why, it just very much resonated with me. And in that book, it kind of talked about like this Montessori method of learning. So what is Montessori? And this is how we can apply it to us as adults. So Montessori nurtures order, concentration, and independence. And I love that. Like, I love that for us who are people who are trying to learn. So what does this mean? This means intentional design, materials, and daily routines that support a student's emerging self-regulation. And what they describe self-regulation as is the ability to educate oneself and to think about what one is learning. So when we think about we want to learn faster, we have to think about how do we best self-regulate and how do we nurture order, concentration, and independence in our learning, which are all huge factors as adults. Because a lot of times when we're on a learning journey as an adult, we do not have a guide or a teacher or a mentor literally with us step by step. Something that I love about Coco's school is that they are encouraged to do this work on their own and to explore it and then to complete it. So yesterday she got home from school and I asked her, I said, what kind of work did you do at school today? And she said, I did tea work. And they literally have this little tea set that they have to bring out. They have to put on an apron. They have to heat up the water. They have to create tea. And she said, and I was the host today. And so she was learning how to concentrate on this task of hosting and the independence of doing all this on her own. And she was so proud of herself. And I was thinking about this training and just thinking about how we as adults sometimes learn ability to think about how do we best learn? Like, how can we nurture the student inside of us to have that order, concentration, and independence that is necessary to learn something and to learn something faster? And so another example is I was thinking about how do I best learn? For years and years and years, I have not been able to read business books at nighttime. I fall asleep. Like I literally either fall asleep or I get so excited that I stay awake because I have this new idea. And so I had to recognize like I cannot read any business books. Like I need to do audiobook. I retain information through audio better than I do through reading. And I also love more conversational learning. So I love listening to podcast episodes and interviews with experts. Like that is a way that I really learn and retain information. Another thing that helps me to learn in terms of the methodology is I learn best and I apply best when money is on the line. How many of you have heard the term, those who pay attention? Now, that is something that a lot of people talk about, but have you ever noticed that when you have invested in your learning, you are far more likely to follow through because there is something on the line. There's something to be lost. I remember the first time I ever took an online course. I remember telling myself, I will be a success story because I just invested in myself and I need to prove to myself and everyone else that I made a worthy investment. And so for me, I know that if there's something to be lost, I will learn and retain information better. So how can I add that in as a factor? So I want for you to be really introspective here. One of the things that I often talk about when it comes to personal development is a lot of times we are too focused on the development and we lose the personal aspects of it. And what I think is so important when we think about our learning styles is that we each learn differently. When we think about Montessori, if I were to go into Coco's classroom, there would be certain one-on-one happening. There would be independence happening. There would be fostered learning going on. And so think about as an adult, what does it look like and how do you learn best?
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.